Now we're going to talk about inverse functions. And what I want to do is start by drawing our typical coordinate axis. And I want to draw the line that represents the function y equals x. This line right here. And now I want you to think of any point over here. X, y. And just do this picture, get this idea that if I were to reflect across this line, it's going to come down to a point, oh, looks like about right there. And that point, whatever these numbers are here, x and y, this point is going to be yx. It's going to flip. These numbers here, let's say the number is looks like -5, -2. If I flip around here, this point is going to be -2, -5. Just think of these guys being mirror images of each other, and this y equals x is the mirror. Keep that picture, and here we go. This fundamental inverse property is that f of f inverse of x is equal to x. This is the inverse function here. Inverse function of f. Basically, and I talked about this in my my teaching notes. The quarterback drops back to pass. He gets into a certain point, a certain position. He throws the ball. The receiver catches it. That's what F does. F is the transmission of the ball that way. Now imagine that the receiver just stops right there and throws the ball right back to the quarterback, so it comes right back to the point where it started. So X goes to Y, and then F inverse sends it right back to X. That's the picture. It's very nice to know this, because if f of f inverse of x is x, then I can solve for f inverse. I can find out what f inverse is by doing this. Let's suppose f of x is equal to x squared. You know, you're going to see that this is one of the typical drop back to foundational functions that we pull out of our hat. The parabola x squared. It looks like this. Goes on and on. When 1 is 1, 2 goes up to 4. I didn't draw that very well, but anyway, there. So 2, 4. Basically, when x is 2, 2 squared is 4. This is the function we're talking about. Because f of f inverse, let's find out what f inverse looks like. F of x equals x squared. Now f of f inverse of x is going to equal x. That's, again, think of that mirror around the y equals x function. I'm just basically flipping right back to my original x. Or think of the quarterback getting the ball back. He's come back right to the initial position that he was in. But f tells me that whatever is in this slot gets squared. So that means that f inverse of x, whatever it is, squared is equal to x. So if, again, f tells me to square it. Whatever's in this slot gets squared. So f inverse of x is what's in the slot. So I'm going to square it. And when I do that, I'm going to get x, because that's what that inverse relationship does. F of f inverse is that. Let's solve for it. Let's take the square root of both sides. The square root of f inverse of x quantity squared is equal to the square root of x. But this, now by the way, I'm not going to use my square root property here because I have one-to-one functions. If I shouldn't have skipped that part, but this f inverse of x and taking f of that and saying that demands that f is 1-to-1. And as you see your graph, you'll see, yeah, that makes sense. I can only talk about this portion of the parabola. I can't talk about this portion. So in this case, I have only the positive result. F inverse of x is equal to the square root of x. That's my inverse function. Now let's check it. Is it true that f of the square root of x is equal to x? F tells us to square it. Is it true that the square root of x squared is equal to x? Yes. Let's do another one. F of x is equal to the cube root of x plus 2. Whatever's in this slot, first of all, you're going to add 2 to it, and then you're going to take the cube root. Well, f of f inverse of x is equal to the cube root of f inverse of x plus 2. That, we know, is equal to x, is equal to x. Let's get rid of this cube root sign by cubing everything. So the cube root of f inverse of x plus 2, make sure my line goes across far enough, cubed, that gets rid of the cube root. That becomes f inverse of x plus 2 is equal to x cubed. I'm almost done. Let's just get rid of the 2, subtract 2 from both sides. F inverse of x is equal to x cubed minus 2. If you put f of x into here, which is the cube root of x plus 2, if you put that into here, if you put the cube root of x plus 2 into there, you're going to get x. Because we're going to cube this and then we're going to subtract 2, and that's all we have left to do. So the thing to remember with your inverse functions, and the nice thing about this video is you can watch this again and again. The thing to remember is that f of f inverse of x is x. Also, f inverse of f of x is x. That's how we define inverse functions. You will see that your line Remember how we had, for the parabola here, we had the line, here's our mirror. We got the square root of x. That looks like that. Those two lines flip around the y equals x mirror. We'll do it again. You'll have plenty of opportunity to find these inverses, practice it.